Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about narcissistic traits and manipulative behaviors that especially they have very negative connotations for people who suffer from borderline personality disorder. So if you're interested in topics that are related to mental health, then please keep watching. So first of all, people who suffer from borderline personality disorder, they might actually see other people as extension of themselves. And then what that will do is they will keep on bringing the focus of attention to themselves. So sometimes they might just give a impression as if the world was spinning around them. So they will try to bring the attention to themselves. And how they can do it is by perhaps sometimes positioning themselves as a victim of, for example, an illness, as a victim of other people, as a victim of certain life problems. And sometimes as well, they might just act out in public situation in very inappropriate way. Additionally, they might be acting in very possessive way towards their close ones, their family members, and they might be highly critical of other relationships that their loved ones are involved with. So for example, if their partner has a work colleague, they might tend to criticize that colleague, for example. So by doing this, they're just making sure that they're at the center of the attention, perhaps worrying that maybe their loved ones, that they're gonna abandon them, they're not gonna love them, they feel that they're in control of securing that position of being at the center, the position where they feel like, you know, they're loved, almost as if they were worried that maybe there's a competition between them and then someone else. So perhaps by making sure that they're at the center of the attention, they're trying to make sure that they're being loved and the attention is given to them. And these self-involved characteristics, they can be part of the narcissism. And they can be especially very difficult for family members, where maybe someone who suffers from borderline personality disorder, they might not really consider much of how, you know, the other partner is feeling, or how, you know, the family members are feeling, and just making sure that, you know, their emotional needs are being met. There's also research that indicates that about 25% of people who are actually diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, they are at the same time diagnosed as well with the narcissistic disorder. And perhaps some of them, they might suffer from narcissistic disorder as well. But perhaps many of people who suffer from borderline personality disorder, they will maybe have some traits only of the narcissistic disorder, rather than having the whole presentation. And actually the loved ones of people who suffer from borderline personality disorder, they very often, they actually report that they do feel that they're being manipulated by the person, and how they might do it is maybe through aggression, rage, humiliation in public situation. So all of those manipulative behaviors, they might be very unfair, very difficult to deal with. At the same time, I think it is really important to recognize that those manipulative behaviors and those self-centered behaviors, perhaps they're a result of some horrendous trauma that these people, they suffered when they were children, or some emotional neglect that they lived through as children. And perhaps those behaviors that they're exposing now as adults, they're not intentionally manipulative, they're more of desperate behaviors that are showing us that they're actually unable to regulate their own emotions, and how desperate they are for love and attention and care that perhaps they haven't received when they were children. And what is also really interesting about people who suffer from borderline personality disorder and claims that they are being manipulative is that when we think about the word manipulation, we normally tend to think that someone planned something in advance, that is premeditated. So whatever, you know, person is doing to us, you know, they planned it in advance to harm us. But when it comes to people who suffer from borderline personality disorder, they normally act very impulsively. So whenever they express their you know, anger or rage, it's them acting on certain impulses. It's very sudden. And normally these impulsive behaviors can be triggered by instant fear of being abandoned, desperation, hopelessness, loneliness, but not premeditation. It can happen in therapy where they will reflect themselves that they feel like they're really manipulating someone because they want something from them. But again, perhaps they can only reflect that in hindsight, looking back what has happened. It wasn't premeditated. It wasn't, calculated that I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna receive that, because most likely what has happened, it was them acting on certain impulses. So therefore, I think it is really important to talk about topics that are related to maybe borderline personality disorders, to bring more awareness and perhaps normalize certain issues, not only for people who suffer from borderline personality disorder, but also for the loved ones. So yes, if you enjoyed this video and if you found it any helpful, then please like it, subscribe, and if you have any comments, then just please leave them in the section down below and I will try to answer them, and I will see you next one. Bye.